Episode number 3. Why is change so hard? If you ever thought, why can't I just stick with it? Or I know what to do. Why don't I do it? I want you to hear this right now. There's nothing wrong with you. Change is hard because it asks your brain to do something that it's biologically wired to resist. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Shannon and I've lost 100 pounds naturally and I've kept it off for 7 years. This is the Strong Journey podcast where I talk about what worked, what didn't, and all the things that I wish I knew along the way. The good, the bad, and yes, sometimes the ugly. Today, I want to talk to you about why change feels so hard and how understanding the stages of behavior change can stop you from fighting against yourself and start working with your brain instead. Most of us were taught that change looks like a decision. I've decided I'm doing this. I'm committed. From now on, everything changes. And for a moment, that feels really powerful. There's motivation, there's excitement, there's that fresh start feeling, energy. But here's the part that nobody explains. Motivation is temporary. It's an emotion, and emotions fluctuate. So when that initial motivation fades, which it always does, people assume that something has gone wrong. They think, I've lost my motivation. I must not want this badly enough. Here we go again. And they fall back into their old habits, not because they don't care, but because habits are what your brain automatically defaults to when motivation runs out. Real change doesn't happen because you feel motivated. It happens because you've built systems and supports for when you don't feel motivated. That's why real change doesn't happen in a moment. It happens in phases. And when you don't understand or respect those phases, you don't blame the plan, you blame yourself. You tell yourself, I'm inconsistent, I'm undisciplined, I have bad follow through. But the truth is, you were relying on motivation to make the change. And motivation was never designed to carry that load. Motivation gets you started. Behavior change is what keeps you going. This is where understanding behavior change changes everything. Because real change isn't random. It's not about willpower or personality. There are actual stages that humans move through when they change a behavior, not steps that you check off, not a straight line, and definitely not something that you fail at if you don't move through all of them perfectly. They're phases, and most of us were never taught that they even existed. So when we struggle, we assume that something's wrong with us instead of realizing we're just in a different stage than where we think we should be. Once I learned this, everything changed. I stopped asking, why can't I just stick to this? And I started asking myself, where am I in the change process? And what does this stage actually mean for me? So before we go any deeper, I want to name the stages that we're talking about here because chances are you are in one of them right now. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're just in a stage, and that matters. Most of us were taught that change starts with a decision. Once you decide, then everything should just poof, follow. But lasting change doesn't work like that. There are 5 stages of behavior change that everyone has to go through in order to change their lives and make it actually stick. Not because you're weak, not because you lack motivation, but because this is how human behavior works. And the mistake most people make is trying to live in a stage that they're not in yet and blaming themselves when it doesn't work. So before we break this down, here are the 5 stages. The first stage is awareness, or the pre-contemplation stage. You're not actively changing yet. You might not see the problem, or you see it but feel stuck and overwhelmed or even defensive. This is where most people think that they're lazy when they're not ready yet. It's just the stage they're in. Considering change, stage number 2, or the contemplation stage, you know that something needs to change. Thinking about it, but you're also talking yourself out of it. I should. I want to, but I don't know if I can. This is where motivation comes and goes, and people think that losing motivation means failure. It doesn't. Stage number 3, preparing or the preparation stage. You're not fully in motion yet, but you are definitely setting the table. You're researching, you're buying the workout clothes, workout shoes, you're listening to podcasts like this one. Hi. You're making small promises that you're not sure you can keep yet. This stage is quiet and wildly underestimated. Stage number 4, the action stage. This is the part where everyone thinks change is. You're doing the workouts, you're changing how you eat, you're showing up differently. And here is the truth. Action without support from the earlier stages doesn't last. Stage number 5, integration or the maintenance stage. This is where change becomes part of who you are. Not perfect, not rigid, just integrated. You don't rely on motivation anymore. You rely on identity, systems, and trust. Most people think the real work starts at action, but the foundation for everything happens way before that. So let's dig deeper and start where all lasting change actually begins. Stage 1, awareness or the pre-contemplation stage. This is the stage where change isn't on your radar. You might be avoiding the mirror, avoiding buying new clothes, avoiding the scale, brushing off any concerns from others, and telling yourself that you'll deal with it later. This stage often gets judged, but it shouldn't. Pre-contemplation isn't denial, it's protection. Your brain is prioritizing emotional safety over change. And until awareness grows, no plan will stick. You cannot force yourself out of this stage. You can only become curious. Stage 2, considering change or the pre-contemplation stage. This is the mental tug of war. This is the most uncomfortable stage. You know that something needs to change, but you're stuck between desire and fear. You think, I want to feel better, but what if I fail again? What if I can't keep it up? What if I start and then I have to stop? This is where people confuse thinking with failing. You're not stuck, you're processing. Many women stay here for years because they don't trust themselves anymore. They've broken so many promises to themselves over the years that they're scared to try again. Stage number 3, preparing. Maybe I can do this differently. This is where hope quietly shows up. You start listening to podcasts, saving recipes, watching workouts, and imagining a different life for yourself. But here's the danger of this stage. People often mistake preparation for readiness to change everything. They overhaul their diet. They commit to 5 workouts a week. They cut out all the foods that they love and enjoy. And their nervous system panics. Preparation should be about planning for sustainability, not intensity. Stage 4, action. This is where most plans fail. This is the stage that everyone celebrates. You got a new routine, new motivation, new rules. At first, it feels good, but action without support, structure, flexibility, and identity work leads to burnout. This is where the all or nothing thinking shows up. One missed workout feels like failure. One off-plan meal feels like sabotage, and people quit. They're weak, but because the plan wasn't built to last. Stage 5, integration, or this is the maintenance stage. This is where rubber meets the road and the real work begins. Maintenance isn't boring, it's powerful. This is where habits become automatic, self-trust is rebuilt, and motivation becomes less and less important. This stage is about learning how to course correct without quitting, adjust without guilt, and stay consistent without extremes. Maintenance is where identity shifts from I'm trying to this is just who I am now. Your brain's job is to keep you safe, not disciplined, not motivated, safe. And the way your brain defines safe isn't based on what you want, it's on what's familiar. So when you decide starting Monday, everything changes, or I'm cutting everything out, or I'm going all in, your brain doesn't hear growth. Sudden extreme change tells your nervous system something is wrong. We're losing control. This could put us at risk. And that's why so many people feel anxious, overwhelmed, or exhausted the moment they commit to big change. And then they blame themselves when they can't sustain it. It's not a willpower problem, it's a safety response. Sustainable change happens when your brain learns three things. Number one, repetition. Doing something once doesn't build trust. Doing it again and again and again tells your brain, we survived this. Number two, predictability. When your actions feel familiar, your brain stops scanning for danger. You're no longer asking, can I do this forever? You're just doing the next step. And number three, self-trust. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, your brain updates your story. I can follow through. I don't need extremes to change, and I am safe here. And here's the magic part. When your brain learns, I can do this again, it stops resisting. You don't need more motivation. You need more evidence. Evidence that you can show up. Evidence that change doesn't equal chaos. Evidence that you're not abandoning yourself this time. And that's when change stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling like alignment. And you begin to rewire the neural pathways in your brain to start a new way of living. This is why I don't believe in quick fixes. Diets don't fail. People aren't broken. Systems fail when behavior change is ignored. When you respect the stage you're in, everything gets easier. Ask yourself this: where am I right now? Not where you should be, not where you want to be, but where are you actually? Because that right there is your starting point. And if you're not sure how to answer that question, you can take my behavior change quiz. It just helps you to identify what stage of change you're in right now, and you stop forcing strategies that don't match where you are. No guilt, no pressure, no just try harder, just clarity. Because once you know your stage, you can finally work with your brain instead of against it. I'll link the quiz below so that you can meet yourself where you actually are, not where Instagram says you should be. You don't need to rush. You don't need to do this perfectly. You just need to take the next step, and then the next, and the next. Take the quiz, meet yourself where you are, and find out where you are on your strong journey.